Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our exploration of emerging technologies in education. In previous models, we've been looking at innovations like AI, Web 3.0, and blockchains and how they are reshaping how we teach and learn. Today, I'm going to focus on a concept that connects directly to those ideas, which is microlearning and how technologies such as cloud, mobile, and interactive platforms are bringing this to life. Even though this concept dates back to the early 2000s, digital innovation keeps it fresh, flexible, and highly relevant for modern learners. So, what exactly is microlearning? According to our research, microlearning is a continual process better supported with smaller, more focused learning resources and activities. This means that microlearning isn't just giving students short videos. It's a learning strategy built on precision. Some of its defining characteristics are short standalone lessons, usually under about 10 minutes, one or two clear, measurable objectives, digital delivery that is easily accessed on demand, and includes both content and activity. When we think about it like this, microlearning as a short standalone instruction through any modality, it reminds us that microlearning can appear formal, informal, or as a self-directed space. Some of the instructional benefits of microlearning are first, that it reduces cognitive load. It simplifies these complex topics where students aren't getting overwhelmed by the material. Second, it increases focus, attention, and long-term retention. It supports spaced learning and quick review, allows learners to self-pace and access just-in-time support, such as the feedback that is given during like an Edpuzzle video, where students aren't going to hold on to those misconceptions throughout the video. They'll learn this was not the correct one. Then they can move on to the next and apply what they just learned to the next portion of the video. And ultimately, microlearning adapts easily to multiple learning styles. I know myself, whenever I approach my students' learning, I was one of those students that I'm dyslexic, and having a large amount of text thrown at me in the classroom was often very daunting. But if I had it broken up into segments with an audio included or a video included that reinforced what I was seeing in the text, I could adjust and really learn the material. Breaking these down into these micro lessons really does help students get the knowledge that they need right now, absorb it, and then move on. It's like when you think of a sponge. You can immerse that sponge into the water, but it's only going to hold so much. If you dip it in a little, let it absorb, then dip in again, let it absorb, you're able to hold more. This is the same with learning. We let the students dip their toes into a topic, learn a little bit, come back, do some reflection on it, and then go back to the text again or the reading again. When information comes in small, intentional segments, learners stay engaged without overload. This principle, or this idea, is grounded in the principle of cognitive load theory. When we connect it to these learning theories that we've been studying throughout our course, microlearning also connects to the connectivist learning theory. Each micro lesson functions like a node in a knowledge network, linking learners, content, and communities through shared digital spaces. Just as we discussed in our earlier Web 3.0 unit, knowledge today is distributed. Microlearning thrives in that environment by making each piece of learning accessible, shareable, and contextual. So now let's look at the multiple tech modes within microlearning. The first one I'm going to look at is cloud computing and microlearning. According to our research, the cloud computing creates an ecosystem where everything in a classroom becomes a virtual reality. For microlearning, the cloud provides on-demand storage and deliverable short modules, real-time updates and scalability, collaboration between teachers and learners across instances, and ultimately the cloud is this invisible infrastructure that makes microlearning happen anywhere, anytime. When we look at mobile technology, mobile devices are the perfect medium for microlearning. As e-learning industry explains, they allow learners to access educational materials and engage in learning activities from anywhere at any time. Learners can complete modules between tasks, during commutes, or while waiting, learning in the flow of life. I always loved using mobile technology and any kind of technology like this with my students, especially whenever I had my student athletes. They are on the go so much. And one of the biggest complaints that I always heard from my kids was, Miss Halsey, I don't have time to get this done. I'm on the bus. I'm on this. I've got soccer practice, basketball, dance, whatever it was. So I could turn my lessons into these step-by-step guides, push them out as offline mode if they didn't have access to Wi-Fi or anything like that. And the students could learn on the go. They could watch these videos or read these texts while waiting for their next game to start, while on the bus, while before school, during tutorial times, anything to help make sure they're getting all of the learning that they need in a way that makes sense for them and in an outlet that works for them. Push notifications and reminders also help reinforce spaced practice and sustain engagement, giving them reminders of, hey, this portion's due this date, this portion's due this date, and keeping those constant reminders to keep them going. Last one I want to look at is interactive technologies. Interactivity transforms microlearning from passive watching to active doing. Short quizzes, simulations, or AR, VR mini scenarios provide instant feedback and hands-on practice. When I looked at the readings, we specifically looked at AR and VR and how it increasingly is used in microlearning to provide short immersive experiences. This type of engagement deepens the learning even within a few minutes. And we've seen this throughout our emerging technologies that we've used. All of this combines together to create this environment for our students to learn and grow safely and securely. So when I was approaching this activity and this idea of microlearning, I wanted to look at how it would fit in a K-12 classroom, specifically 8th grade social studies, because I'm working really hands-on with one of my brand new teachers and integrating this type of material to help their classroom function effectively. So let's imagine we're preparing students for an upcoming unit on the causes of the American Revolution. Before the in-depth lesson, we want them to recall key background information about British taxation, colonial responses, and early acts of resistance. Here's how we could outline this. We give a 3-minute animated video introducing the Stamp Act, Boston Tea Party, and the idea of taxation without representation, followed by a 2-minute interactive quiz that asks students to match acts on their colonial responses. For example, which act led to the Sons of Liberty protest? The module is cloud hosted, so students can access it through the school's LMS or a shared Google Classroom link, and it's mobile friendly, letting students complete it at home or during advisory time using Chromebooks or tablets. Ultimately, the outcomes that we want them to gather from this is knowledge recall, that the students can accurately identify the causes of the revolution, and application. During class discussions or debates, students can use that foundation to analyze why colonists moved towards independence. In short, this short focused learning sequence gives students essential background knowledge before deeper discussion, reducing cognitive load, supporting retrieval practices, and building confidence. Ultimately, because it's a cloud-based and interactive program, teachers can instantly see who's completed the module and where understandings have occurred or if there's misconceptions. So I wanted to share with you all this lesson I created actually back when we were doing our segment on interactive videos. I really kind of feel like it leans into this idea of microlearning in creating little mini lessons throughout a larger context. When I originally created that interactive video, I went a little overboard and I made it into a larger lesson for one of my history teachers, not really thinking about that we need to keep it at a 3-minute video at that point. But I really did enjoy this portion of it because I felt like in adding little small segments throughout and then checking for understanding, doing open-ended questions really did feel like they were getting little micro lessons throughout the entirety of this video. Ed puzzles can be assigned as self-paced and student-led so they can start it, stop it, come back to it, and work at their own pace. But throughout this, there would have been, I'm going to turn off the voice for this just for the sake of this presentation. But here there would have been voice overlay talking about this tariff of 1832 and expanding on what they saw on the screen. They would have been taking notes throughout. Then there would also have been a video embedded here that goes over the Tariff of Abominations and kind of introduces it a little bit more, ultimately ending in when they filled out their organizer that I would give them in class, asking an open-ended question that gets them thinking about this idea moving forward. I liked that I could do this throughout. I could embed audio, text, also creating scenarios that kind of let them jump into this world that we're creating here. But then at the end, I could embed star level questions to make sure that my students understood what they were listening to and that they'd be really ready to pass this portion of a test. Throughout, though, I've embedded more open-ended questions that gets them thinking critically, allows them for a broader understanding where they're not so limited in what they can talk about, but that it ultimately ends in a little bit more focused idea. Throughout this, it is small, never more than 3 to 5 minute videos that they watch. They have guiding questions in their organizer, and again, creates little micro lessons about this overarching idea of the nullification crisis. So let's link this back to our previous modules. Microlearning ties directly to what we've explored so far. AI and adaptive learning, which creates personalized micromodules. Web 3.0 and connectivism, which distributes learning across networks. And open pedagogy, which encourages remixing and sharing of microcontent. It's a practical expression of everything we've discussed, technology serving as a learner-centered, connected pedagogy. Some of the key takeaways that I found from all of this was the idea that it created focused, flexible, accessible, and interactive learning. Again, going back to this idea of with focused of it's only 1 or 2 learning goals per module, flexible, it can be accessed anywhere, accessible, it's powered by mobile platforms, and interactive in that we're engaging students in the learning throughout that lesson. Microlearning blends theory, technology, and practice into small, powerful learning moments. To summarize all of this, microlearning is again a focused, short, and purposeful strategy that reduces cognitive load and enhances retention in our students. Utilizing aspects such as cloud, mobile, and interactive technologies make it a scalable and engaging resource. And it supports connectivist learning where knowledge is shared and applied across digital networks. Ultimately, microlearning is best suited for specific skill-based tasks that need immediate application. When we design with intention, even the smallest lesson can make a big impact. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, please let me know. Bye.